Well, good morning. I'm seeing seeing bad news from the chat saying it is buffering, going on and off. Hopefully, Sue Finelli is accurate and it is somewhat better now. We hope. So it's great to see you all. Hopefully, we are streaming everywhere that we're supposed to be. So far, that would include, YouTube as usual, and Rockfin. Welcome our friends on Rockfin, as well as DLive, Twitch, and I think we're also going to Daily Motion today. So hopefully, we're all over the place. And this is, it is in preparation for. I think that you probably are aware of what's going on, certainly in our community in terms of live streaming and what's been going on. So clearly, I am not the only one who has been hit with a variety of censorship issues. I did receive another email this week. Let's see if I can find that to share with you. Well, basically, they're going back through previous streams, and so I got a community guidelines issue. Of course, they never tell you what it is, but they've gone backwards to, I think this was March 12th, something like that, from a Cocky Pop report. They, of course, don't tell you what the issue is, nor give you really a chance to. So then it makes it difficult to challenge it. But it does seem as though as I've watched others, the handwriting appears to be on the wall. Once they target you, there's not much really you can do. And that's unfortunate because one of the primary reasons and the goals that I had in setting this channel up in the first place was, as I've mentioned on numerous occasions, that so many people had reported in the conversations I was having with them during in the Awakening Project, that so many people felt so alone and isolated, and this was leading to serious depression in some people. And so really, I just wanted to have an opportunity for people to gather and congregate. And so it has worked to that effect, and I've been extremely pleased to that extent that people have been finding a way to congregate and to get to know one another better, and to know that you are not alone, right? And that you are not the crazy one. Sure, they've been gaslighting us forever, but that's their intention, to make you feel alone and to make you feel stupid because you're not you don't get to play their silly reindeer games. But much like Brian Stavely, Karen B, Crow 777, Jason Lindgren, so many others. Once they target your channel, there's not much you can do. And so the handwriting really appears to be on the wall. To that extent, there seems like there's not much we can do about it. One of the issues, of course, is that YouTube being, we always say in marketing, first to market, first to mind. And so YouTube being one of the very first, and certainly the biggest now, it's almost monolithic platform in which to present these things. And certainly they did it with the premise that, broadcast yourself, that you could do these things, speak your mind. Then, of course, the black-eyed beast of censorship steps in, and it's not for everyone. Only if you repeat their narrative, right? It's just like school. It's just like the indoctrination camp. That you're only smart if you repeat what they say. If you ask questions, especially good questions, then you're dumb and you're a troublemaker, right? And so we are now being tagged as troublemakers to the extent that we are now being called, domestic terrorists. Great jibbity jeebers, right? Right. What are we going to do? And I have mentioned this whenever we were at Solar Return, right? The day before the Friday party at the park. But it just occurred to me that these are the people that the media, and of course, by extension, them, the government, whoever, is trying to portray as domestic terrorists. And yet these are the people that I was like, this is the kind of people that you would want as your next door neighbor, right? You would want these people as your closest friends, as coworkers, as companions, as family, because these are the salt of the earth people. These are the best people that I've ever met as a group. And yet we're the ones being ostracized. So certainly you can see that it's upside down. And again, thanks everybody for joining us this morning. I'm doing a different thing. You can probably tell this morning using Restream and going to multiple platforms, so it makes things a little bit different for me. So if I seem distracted, I'm trying to put everything together. It has nothing to do with the RSO, nothing whatsoever. Oh dear, it sure is helpful. And thanks to my benefactor for that, the RSO. But I will say, as I've said before, it does tend to make you pretty high. And so it's I'm getting used to it, I think, but it is still a challenge to sometimes keep the train on track. Oh dear. My observation is really good. Sometimes retention is not as good and communication is not as great as I'd like. So it's difficult to express sometimes the things that I'm trying to express. But I hope we get there this morning. And I wanted to, in a way, piggyback and sort of springboard off what Ceiling Fan Man's stream last night. It was a great stream. If you didn't get a chance to see that, please do check out his stream from last night dealing with depression. And I know it seems like a bummer of a topic, and then I think in one sense, this is what we see in terms of Western society as well, is that the thing that we don't talk about the most, right, the most taboo topic is probably one of the most important we can have, and that is the topic of death. We avoid it like, the plague, to coin a phrase. We don't want to talk about death, and yet it is, in some respects, one of the most important topics because it is the end of the race, at least this segment of it. And so it should be, not foremost. I mean, I'm not talking about being morbid, but David said, Lord, teach me to number my days so that I can have a sense of perspective, right? That this is not eternal. And certainly I have observed over my time here that, when I was a youth, right, 10 foot tall, bulletproof, you thought it would go on forever. You could never imagine that anything bad really would happen. As you get older and you see more and more things, you certainly do have a different perspective. You've seen plenty of bad things happen, and you realize if you pay attention that those bad things seemingly can sometimes be random or not. Many times it is a boomerang effect. But I want to get to this again. We avoid the topic of death because it's uncomfortable. We don't like it. I think in a similar aspect, we avoid the topic of depression. It's uncomfortable. We don't wish it for ourselves or for others. And for those who have never experienced it, and I know people near me who have never experienced it, and frankly, their attitude towards it is kind of shit. Well, why don't you just not be sad? Just get up and do something. If you jog, that'll give you a runner's high. You need exercise. Have you tried this? Have you tried that? I mean, again, if you had the wherewithal, if you could just, not be sad, hey, that'd be great. You just choose not to be sad or just choose not to be depressed. It doesn't work that way. They often refer to it as a chemical imbalance, and yet I don't think they've ever proven that ever. We don't know for sure what causes it. I'm so, hey, Cammie, you just made my day. Yes, prayers do get answered, and that's what we want to talk today about healing, right? Because healing is not just for physical wounds. Healing is also for emotional wounds. And in fact, it is necessary. Because this is the primary message that I want to share with you today. We're told what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Okay. But simply surviving something doesn't mean you have healed from it. Let me say that again. Simply surviving something doesn't mean that you have healed from it. There's a big difference between simply surviving and healing from something. You can see this physically. People often will have a very severe trauma, car accident, gunshot wound, from which they recover but never heal, and ultimately will die sometimes years later as a result of the initial injuries. And so it is with many people emotionally that suffer trauma. They never acknowledge or address or heal from those wounds. And they must be done in that order. You must acknowledge. Yes, Francis says, it's been said that time heals all wounds, but I would say that time wounds all heals. It's probably more accurate because I have some wounds that over 25 or 30, 40 years have not healed. They may be dulled to some degree or redirected. They're not as raw or intense, but in many ways they're more powerful because they have soaked in and affect so many areas of one's life. Once that trauma spreads out like a cancer, it metastasizes into the rest of your life and affects everything. And I see it in so many ways. I see so many adults suffering from the wounds that they suffered as a child. They deal with it as a child, which is to say they don't deal with it at all. They run away from the source of their pain. They deny it. That doesn't hurt. I'm fine. It is in some ways no more clearly apparent, these wounds, as those who were wounded in some way by religion or their misapprehension of who the Creator was, especially as a child. I've said before, and I stand by this, that everyone that I have ever met and who has been honest enough to tell me, I guess I can make some assumptions that pretty much everyone, there might be a few exceptions, but everyone that I've ever known well enough to have this conversation with has at some point as a child, usually in adolescence, experienced something from which they reviled so strongly that they took a vow. I will never allow this to happen again, and I will never do this. No one will ever do that to me again. I will never. And they've taken this vow, and they stick by it. And so the rest of their life is controlled. The outcome is controlled by the decisions of an angry 10-year-old who had no idea what the consequences of their decision would be, or even what the source of their pain was. And so for many people, especially during this period of time, they've taken a vow, often because they were in some way disappointed. They suffered a trauma and they did not get what they wanted. A parent or a grandparent or a sibling suffering from cancer or some dread disease, and they pray with all their might, please, God, save them. Please, if you love me, please save them. And they do not. They die. And in the wake and the grief, why did you not save them? Why did you let them die? And then the unrestrained, unrestricted emotions of a child, unable to really perceive and to process everything around it. They think either God must be mean and terrible, or there is no God at all. And that vow remains with them throughout their lives. And you can hear it in their voice when the topic comes up, the bitterness and anger, hatred even. I see it in so many, even in our community, even those who have acknowledged that there must in fact be a creator. If we do live in a created world, there must then be a creator. But the nature of that creator is then in question because of their experience. And so many won't even acknowledge the wounds and the pain. And I have, even with a couple of people in our community who have expressed with vitriol their disgust for who they think the creator is, without ever really pausing as an adult to look more closely at what the evidence is. And when my response at times is, I'm so sorry that you were so deeply wounded, the response generally is a very angry, hostile, I'm not hurt. Well, that response in that way very clearly indicates that there is. This is how you can survive something but not ever really heal from it. I was once married to a gal who, I won't say too much. And again, I still to this day, although she did a number of really, really bad things, I won't speak badly of her, in part because I understand that she was deeply wounded, but she never faced the trauma, and she refused to face it. She kept saying, I'm not ready to deal with that. But the problem is that in never dealing with that, again, she was never able to move past it. And so, although I was not the source of her trauma and her original pain, because I moved into the position of the person who had originally caused that pain, I could very clearly see that she was flailing her arms, beating at ghosts. And the ghosts were simply in between me and her. She looked and saw the ghost and started hitting me instead. It was very painful, really, for everybody. So, unable to face the trauma. She was unable to address it, and then unable to get healing. It's a weird segue and probably not even related, but for some reason, I feel compelled to tell this story as well, because it came to mind this week. In praying in praying for healing. So, as Ceiling Man Fan remarked last night, he got, and I get regularly, emails from people who are in a lot of pain from a variety of things. Some unimaginable wounding. Some more, I don't say run of the mill, but that probably more of us are familiar with, and some are just unthinkable. But most the result of, people. People do things to other people. Some of it's, but anyway. And some are physical, right? I'll share with you some things about my situation before we wrap today. And again, just because I'm transparent, and we'll just, it's never been my way to be super secret. I'm not, whine or complain. It just sort of is what it is, and we truly don't know very much, so we'll get there. But I don't know. So there's so many things I wanted to share this morning. God doesn't have feelings. These are earthly phenomena. I'm going to have to disagree with that. I mean, I don't know who you imagine God to be, but the Creator that I know, and that person that I know, definitely has emotions, and very powerful emotions. We're made in His image, and we have the same emotions that the Creator does. Now, again, your God may not have feelings, but the Creator I know absolutely has an enormous amount of feelings, and is the very personification, a very definition of love. So let's talk about healing. How do we get there? What do we need to do? Whether it's physical healing or emotional healing, what are we talking about here? Well, it could be either. I have mentioned before, and this is a topic I want to take on more directly and deeper in the near future, and that is in again reviewing the ministry of Jesus when He was here. one of the primary things that he did, one of the things that we're told most about, and one of the things that separated him apart from others in such direct ways, was that he healed people of all kinds of physical afflictions, from blindness, leprosy, being crippled, even raising the dead. But one of the things that he did very, very often, and I was struck when I went back and was reviewing through the Gospels, how many times he cast out demons, unclean spirits. And that brought me to a place of considering if that the quantity was so high, if it was so commonplace, and if it was in the days of Noah as it is when he came, and then he tells us it's going to be like that again at his return, wouldn't one expect that would be a commonplace thing now, right? This idea of NPCs, sort of like the Matrix, right? That Agent Smith can jump inside at any time and sort of take them over. I think there is some validity to that. So, just quickly responding, because it's one thing I wanted to mention here. This idea, right, of, I'll come back to that, I guess. Okay, so he healed people, right? And that was a big part of his ministry, to bring healing to people. And so I was considering this both this physical healing and this emotional healing. And we're told, again, if you follow Scripture, especially in the New Testament, right, that if any among you are sick, lay hands on them, anoint them with oil, pray that God would heal them. And I've seen this go both ways in modern church. I've seen people who, I talked about this with Wayne McCroy, right? And I thought it was one of the saddest things that I had seen, is that often new believers in Jesus believe what he says when he said, all these things that I do, you will do, and then some, because I go to the Father and I send you the Comforter, right? I send you the Holy Spirit. And so often new believers will take him at his word, believe that, and start laying hands on people and healing them. I've seen some amazing things until the church gets a hold and says, oh, no, that was for then, not now. We don't do that anymore. And as soon as they start believing what they say, the miracles stop. It's pretty remarkable. So I see that. And then I see other people who just start praying all over the place for everything. They start laying hands, and then nothing happens, right? And then they tell the person, oh, it's because you didn't have enough faith. And they blame the person because they didn't get healing, because you didn't do it right. You didn't believe enough. Oh, if you just had enough faith. Without ever once trying to find out, and this is where I always come back to, that relationship with the Creator, direct relationship, right? Did you ever ask Dad what he had in mind? You see, remember, Jesus said, I only do what I see the Father do, right? I can do nothing without him, and I only do what I see him do, which again implies that, remember, there are times he didn't heal everyone, and he had reasons for that. So I was once involved. It's a story that came to mind this morning, or actually this late yesterday, of a time when I was working in ministry. I worked at a church. I was a teaching pastor, and I was asked to come to visit the mother of a person who was in our church, and her mother had cancer. Just a great gal. She was in her 80s and had been a very almost cantankerous, very feisty gal. And she was losing her battle with cancer. And so we went, and we were asked to pray over her and anoint her with oil. And while we hadn't been in the room very long, and people just started praying. And I kind of looked, and I just got this very distinct impression, right, that in a way that we were praying amiss, that it was just time for her to go home. She had done her service, and she was comfortable with the end. She was ready to meet Dad. It was the family that wanted to keep her there and were so strongly moved, as they would be. There's nothing wrong with that they wanted to keep her there. But I got the distinct impression, before it became my time to pray, that we were praying amiss if we were trying to keep her there. Well, it's not something you want to do when you're in a room full of people and with the family around with the person. Go, I think God wants to take you home. I think it's time. Bada bing. Pack your bags. Right? It's not something you want to say. You don't want to be insensitive. And suddenly it came to me, and as the last person before me was wrapping, and it was time to me to kind of wrap the whole thing up. It came to me, and I'm kind of stuck for words, and then I just said, Dad, please let her live until she dies. Weirdly enough, that prayer was answered. Within hours, she popped up out of bed, and she was 20 years younger. She was able to get a whole bunch of things done, redo her will, sort through her things, meet with the family, and then 2 weeks later, she passed on. She did exactly that. She lived until she died. And I was just so thankful to Dad, because I would have probably just had enormous guilt either way if he had nudged me to say, I want to bring her home, and to have me ask for something different. Or if I had simply said, well, Dad, I think we're praying amiss here. You go ahead and take her home. That would have been awkward. And so I was grateful for the wisdom and for her life. And it was indeed a celebration. I was, another personal experience, in a relationship with another person who, and I think I brought this up before, I rarely do, but this person had reactive attachment disorder. If you don't know what that is, take a look. It's a condition brought on by not bonding as a child, as a baby, as an infant, and they are physiologically different. There is no remediation. There is no mitigation. There is no healing, really, from that, other than perhaps a miracle. And that was kind of a key, was when first beginning to get in a relationship with this person. Again, what I didn't realize, right, is that this reactive attachment disorder is really essentially a physiological type of pathology, psychopathy, sociopathy. All the worst traits of malignant narcissism, sociopathy, psychopathy. And she was also very smart, and so she was very adept at, presenting this image. And of course, the relationship was long distance, and so over these just very brief periods, it was far easier for her to behave in that way. But one of the things about her, right, and one of the biggest red flags was I had, when she had been telling me about the story of her childhood, right, I asked in amazement, I said, well, what did healing look like, right? What process did you go through? Like, how did you heal from that? And she was like, well, I don't know, I just did. Just like one day I woke up and it was gone. And it just was like, hit me as so odd. I'm like, that's weird. And so I was thinking that a person who had gone through that experience, right, would then have this amazing, oh my God, it was a miracle, right? It was like life-changing and blah, blah, blah. And it was just like, blasé, just like, I don't know, it just sort of happened. And it just struck me as odd. Well, of course, later I realized with some clarity, it's because that was a lie. It never happened. And it never could have been healed, ever. And of course, she couldn't tell me that because it would have blown the illusion. And that's the name of that tune. And so if you do not get healing, right, then you will never be able to get past those things. And again, I see so many adults who do not get healing for the past wounds. And you develop unhealthy coping mechanisms of all kind, from drugs and alcohol to, emotional and relational issues of every kind. And healing is critical. And I will come to this place again to say as I have on numerous occasions, that while I am in full agreement with this statement that you will know the truth and the truth will set you free, there is absolute freedom in the truth. But knowledge will not really get you very far. Knowing the shape of the earth or the nature of how it works or everything about manifesting your will, these things won't really ultimately get you very far. If, as it is true, as many of us agree, that this is a spiritual battle, a battle for our very soul, then the weapons of that warfare are spiritual. And if you do not gain strength and maturity in a spiritual way, what are you doing? What are you doing? First Corinthians chapter 2. The natural man doesn't receive the things from the Spirit of God because to him they're nonsense, right? Moreover, he's unable to grasp them because they're evaluated, they're received by the Spirit. If your spirit is wounded, how then do you expect to move forward? How can you make any progress? What are you doing? My experience is the only way forward to healing is through the Creator, the one who created you. And if part of your wounding keeps you from it, the inability to trust the Creator from fear, past experience, disappointment, many people are disappointed with God for a variety of reasons. You see, like our history, like the shape of the world, they've been lied about about who He is. That He's mean, angry, hateful, or disinterested. Just made it and ran away. Doesn't really care. Those are lies. Because if it wasn't important, you wouldn't be under attack. And if you're not under attack right now, really, what are you doing? You better evaluate the nature of your life. If you're not getting hit from all angles right now, and you may not be ready for this battle. Because those of us who are preparing are getting creamed. And that's why I'm here. I might not be, a doctor. I don't play one on TV. And I don't really have anything in or of myself that can bring you healing. But I've gone through it. I'm not done yet, clearly. But I have some experience, and I know that it's helpful. And I can tell you of certain things that are helpful for me and other things that were not. And I have no reason to mislead you because there's nothing in it for me but to see others heal. And so I suppose there's an element there that implies, just trust me. But you don't have to trust me. I'm asking, I suppose, that you trust your Creator. You will if you spend time with them, I think, because most of people I know who do, over time you come to a place that you can, as I do, say, though you slay me, I will trust you. It'd be weird to say that without knowing Him, right? It's a lot of faith. It's good stuff. But for me, it took the experience to get to know them, to know that they are good and I can trust them. I mentioned this last week during Poppycock Report that I had kind of been binge watching the stuff from Sammy the Bull Gravano, right? The guy that went state's evidence in the 90s. It's fascinating stuff, great storytelling. Learned a lot about Cosa Nostra And some things actually I greatly admire about it. I know that seems weird, but some of the discipline stuff and the, I know weird rule keeping, right? But the ability to submit to authority. And I was thinking about this, that some of the things that we get wrong. So we especially now, and we look at the situation around us, and we know that the muzzle of submission that we see around us is specifically for the purpose of it has nothing to do with health or any of the benefits that might be had from that. Is specifically for submission, to get people to kowtow to them, right? So we're those of us who reject that, and we know what the purpose of it is, right? We say no to authority, at least in this. But people who have no accountability whatsoever, I don't trust them, right? People who simply have no accountability, I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want. I find that, frankly, kind of dangerous. And one of the things that, again, I notice about the old school Cosa Nostra, the old school mob, is that they had these old values of submission to authority. And I know it seems weird, right? And I've said before that some of the best healing I ever got and some of the biggest wounding I ever got was within the confines of a church. And I was at a church one time where I was, on the worship team, and I was the tech director. There was some stuff that went on without getting too much of it in. The pastor got some faulty information. Somebody was playing politics, blah, 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 and they tried to shine a negative light on me. It wasn't true, but it was a kind of one of those judgment call things. And so, one person's word versus another, whatever. And so in order to sort of let the whole thing chill out, basically he said, I don't know, sort of did okay, well, I'll punish both and see what happens, right? So I had to suffer punishment that was unfair. And I could have pushed back and said, that's unfair, right? I didn't do the thing. Screw you. I'm not going to take the punishment because I didn't do the thing, right? But instead, I got very clear direction from Dad to submit, to submit in humility and simply say, okay. And I did that. And not just as a show. I actually inside said, okay, I submit. But not really to him. I was submitting to Dad. See, I didn't really submit to men because I knew he was wrong. But I submitted to Dad because Dad asked it of me to be humble and submit. And it was in doing that act of humility was immensely not only therapeutic, but it was, again, a great connection between me and Dad, because it all worked out perfectly. And had I done anything other than that, it wouldn't have worked out that way. And it very clearly revealed the nature of the other person and what they were doing, right? And if I had said it, right, it would have come off as sour grapes. But instead, I just simply let it be, and I did the honorable thing. I did it right. And again, I'm not saying this to pat myself on the back, because really, again, I'm saying it was at Dad's direction that I did that. It was against my will to do that. I would have done something different and said, no, for the principle of the thing, I'm not taking the punishment because I didn't do the thing, right? It's not fair. And so I don't subject myself to that. I don't submit to that. I do not consent. But instead I did. And I submitted to Dad, not to man. And it was immensely, I would say, it was a moment of immense growth for me. And I see the value in it. I see the value in young people submitting themselves to the authority of older people. The tricky area is it's got to be somebody that you trust, right? The whole thing between Sammy DeBull and John Gotti was that John Gotti wasn't trustworthy. Right? He would have been loyal to the end had he been trustworthy, but he wasn't. He tried to throw his own guy under the bus to save his own skin, and that just didn't go over very well. So you got to be able to trust the person that you're submitting to. And this is why I come back to the need for the nature of the relationship with your Creator. You must get in relationship with them, and over time, to be able to trust. Right? Again, you can blindly trust. I suppose that's good because, I mean, from my perspective, he is trustworthy. But the experience of actually having, knowing that he's trustworthy, right? Knowing that you can trust him, then means that I can submit my will. And I think it goes all the way back to the first original sin, right? Which is, do you trust him to say what's good or bad, or do you want, you insist on knowing for yourself, right? If you insist on being God with a little g, and I'm going to say what's good or bad, I choose what's right or wrong. I don't trust Dad to tell me what is good or bad. So, here is my encouragement to you. I don't think that any of us are free from wounds. We have all been deeply wounded, just by nature of the fact, by virtue of the fact that we are in this world. We are fucked up. That's the world's job, apparently, is just to beat the crap out of us. But at least we get, from our Creator what the government's not giving us, right? Or the big pharma, which is informed consent. Here's the story, right? Here's how it goes, and you can choose what to do. You can choose to believe the story or not. You can choose how to approach it. But at least you got the information. Here it is, right? And you can do with it what you want. You can choose to believe, not believe. You can choose how to approach it. You can choose to try to sneak in the back door, right? There's a lot of ways to take this, but it's up to you. Instead of being sneaky and go, yeah, it's safe and effective, I promise. Yeah, discovering reality. I would like to do an Oldham stream thing as well. Multiple things, in fact, in that context. So let's see. Coming up to the top of the hour, let me kind of switch gears a little bit, and I'll come back to this. But so let me wrap this up, right? In terms of healing, get you some. First, acknowledge the wounding. If you don't know, here's my advice, right? You're going to find out where your problems are, the landmines, when people step on them. There have been many times, for example, people went through therapy or counseling, and after a number of, for example, unsuccessful relationships, they think they got all their crap worked out. They go back and deal with childhood trauma, and they think they got it all worked out and doing great, and they get into a relationship, and boom, all this stuff happens again. Why? Well, because you don't know what your relationship issues are until you're in a relationship, until somebody is pushing those buttons, right? And so that's how you're going to know. So basically, this is how I discovered most of my issues, is to watch when my emotional response was out of alignment with the nature of the input. Right. So in other words, if the situation was, let's say, a 3 on a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of intensity, and I responded at a 7, boy, that really pissed me off, right? Took me from 0 to 60 like that. Then that indicates, and I'm not really dealing with this current situation. What I'm dealing with is this other situation. Right? I'm dealing with an old situation, the trauma of it, and I'm reminded of it, and so I'm responding to the current situation with the emotions of the past stuff. And then they begin to snowball. They begin to compound upon themselves. And so the third time you have it, you're dealing with the emotions of the first one and the second one, plus the third one, and then add a little bit more because, right, it's just turning up the amplitude. And the next time, it's not just 4, but, right, it's orders of magnitude. It begins to get bigger and bigger until it's out of control. So the first way that I'd begin to identify where these areas were is when I would have a response to something that I could tell was out of line. Right? When I became really worked up about something or really sad about something, if something hit me really hard, I can go, hey, this is tied to something. I'm not dealing with this current situation. I'm responding to a previous situation. And so I have to go back. And so what I would do is track this down and go, okay, as I think about it, what are other times that I felt like this? What are other times I've felt just like that? And I could go back or similar. And so the further back I go, I can try to trace it back to the first time that I felt that way. And as you go through, you can start to see how things align. You can see where this stuff comes from and your emotions and how you feel about it. And those will give you a great clue into what's going on. Well, then you bring it to Dad, right? And you get guidance. This is where I haven't ever seen it fail, is if you bring it before Dad and say, hey, I'm struggling with these things and help show me where these issues are. He'll guide you. And here's the risk. Often he's going to guide you right back into a similar circumstance. right? And so you're asking for it. You're going to get right into a set of circumstances that's going to tweak those things and hurt. Well, that doesn't sound like any fun. But until you deal with it and expose those wounds, you can't, you got to pull the dressings off to expose it to air, to let it heal. But if you ask Dad for this healing, be aware and be prepared. He's probably going to bring people in your life either to exacerbate those wounds and bring them up and just step on those landmines and show you where they are, or well, you'll see it appear. I assure you. And then you have to, again, choose how to deal with it at every moment. How are you going to deal with it? You can go back to the previous ways that you dealt with it. But again, my suggestion here is that if you do that, again, definition of insanity is to try to do the same things over and over and expect a different result. If you're going to try to use those same ineffective tools to address the same situations over and over again, you're not going to get much different effect. So he's giving you the opportunity to deal with it in different ways until you get it all figured out. Right? He's helping you. And so by bringing up these uncomfortable and difficult circumstances again, it's not that he hates you, it's that he loves you. Right? And I see this over and over again, that because Dad is a great parent, he wants his children to grow. All right. I'll leave that there. A bit of housekeeping stuff, I suppose. Didn't know how much I wanted to go into this. I generally am pretty, I'm private, but I'm also transparent. And so I didn't know how to address this. But again, I've just been open about the whole thing. So you guys who have been following for a while, if you're new here, welcome aboard. If you've been around for a while, you know that I have been kind of struggling with some weird medical unknown stuff. Just can't get it figured out. Seemingly a bunch of GI stuff. It looks a lot like cyclical vomiting syndrome. Hey, Brian, I know you're new here. You're a long-time caller, first-time listener. I appreciate that. Everybody's got to do something. So struggling with some GI stuff. Basically, it looks a lot like cyclical vomiting syndrome at certain times for the day. It doesn't come in really nausea. It just comes like a gag reflex. It's been really a drag. There's a number of other things, but also it kind of has some appearances of it might be a CBD or common bile duct issue with the gallbladder and liver. There's some stuff, and so I have to. It's going to take some allopathic, at least, stuff to figure it out, which I dislike. I didn't have insurance. I'm a private independent contractor, and so just wasn't able to afford insurance. I managed through just, again, a weird set of supernatural circumstances to get a ridiculous coverage of insurance. They cover like 97% of all medical needs. It's almost zero deductible. It's just crazy, and I got it for like $1.25 a month. I was wrong last time. I said $1.64. It's actually, I got the bill. It's $1.24 a month, so I paid off the whole year in one swell poop. Well, hey, I'm glad that you're here, Callie. So, so anyway, I got insurance, and so that starts in a couple of days, first of the month. And then I've also had this ongoing issue with just some dental stuff. There's like one thing after another. Of course, not having insurance, you can't keep up with it. And when it starts to go south, it just goes really south, really bad. So that's been an ongoing problem. Nobody's going to have to deal with that. All right. So all these things have been kind of ongoing, and I've been struggling with it for a while. It has kept me off a few streams. GI, gastrointestinal, your guts, basically just gut issues. So lots of vomiting, sometimes just bile, sometimes there's no bile, sometimes it's just hydrochloric acid from your stomach, and sometimes it's everything. It's coming out of both ends. I mean, that's unpleasant, so don't want to get too graphic, but all right. So insurance, that's a miracle, right? So I've got great insurance coverage, some of the best that I have ever seen, some of the best my wife has ever seen, no matter what we paid for it back in the day. We were paying almost $1,000 a month for insurance for both of us. This doesn't even touch, that wouldn't even touch this. And so, anyway, starting next week, I'm going to start, start going through the process to do all the imaging and all that sort of stuff that we have to do to figure out what's going on. I don't want to spend a lot of time, obviously, in the allopathic system. It's just not what I want to do, but there are things that they can help with, like imaging and that sort of stuff, and we can figure out how to approach it and what to do. Okay, so I got into I got into one of the things about the insurance, right, is that I was going to buy up into dental insurance, right, knowing that I needed to address this dental stuff. And so we've been sort of scrimping and saving to be able to do that because obviously the dental things is expensive and it's going to require a lot of work. So, and in fact, it was this need for work that almost prevented me from going to the last two events, the Flattoberfest and Solar Return, because it's shameful and embarrassing. I'm used to, back in my past life, being in the public a lot and giving presentations and doing teaching and all that sort of stuff. And so it's embarrassing. It's shameful. You don't want to have busted up fucking grill, right? It's silly. It just feels bad. David knows what I'm talking about. When shit happens, it's embarrassing. It's just humiliating. And so you just feel like oh, fucking redneck. Anyway, just don't want to go. Anyway, so I've been needing to deal with this for a while, and the more I've let it go, while taking the time to save and scrimp and figure it out, it gets worse. Anyway, so had a friend who gave me a referral to an oral surgeon because some of them are broken at the gum line and have to have them pulled, yanked out. It's going to take surgery. That's a big freaking mess. Anyway, so I had a referral from a friend in the community, someone who could. So anyway, I called that person. Well, as it turns out, the moment they were right then dealing with a bunch of crap because of the cranny, they had to shut down their practice, and then of course they were behind in rent, and the landlord was now trying to sell it out from under them. It was just a mess. So they didn't even know if they were going to have a place to practice. It's a mess. So they gave me a referral to the University of Washington dental clinic, which I had once before used, I had a bad experience there. But for what I needed it done, and we're talking, it's getting choppy. I don't know what to do about it, Brian. I'm showing very solid connection from start to finish all the way through. So it's going to be there's not anything I can do about it. I'm showing 40 kilobytes per second, 3277. It's crazy fast. So anyway, I've got an upload speed of nearly 100 megabits. So anyway, all right. So I went to the University of Washington Dental Clinic this week to get started with that process. And as expected, right, it's pretty much a total loss. They got to just, I appreciate it, Brian, not a problem. Anyway, it's pretty much complete. They're going to just take everything out and start over. And it's not as if I didn't expect that. They were trying to deal with me gently there. But one of the things that happened, and this is, I guess I'll just share this. And this, again, we just don't know anything, but I'll throw this out there. It's a little unnerving. And so they do a standard bit of exam. And so while they were doing the standard, above the shoulders exam, discovered a mass in my throat at the larynx on the left side. And I knew immediately there was a problem because it was tender when he hit it. And then he went to the other side, and then I could tell he was coming back to go, is that different? And he was kind of comparing back and forth. And I knew that was going to be an issue. And so then he called the doctor over, and they consulted, and I knew that was going to be a problem. And so I do, I'm going to have to, so again, it's unknown, no reason to get too excited, right? Just, it's just one more thing that I'm going to have to address. Pretty good chance that it's going to be just a result of some of the infection that's drainage from the broken teeth. And they recognized, right, what you guys probably haven't, because I don't make a big deal about it. Something my wife knows is I've been in constant, really deep, agonizing pain for, better part of 2 years now. On a scale of 1 to 10, it's, never less than a 3, and sometimes it's past a 7 or 8, and occasionally if it's abscessed twice, that's like 11, but... Yeah, I know. I got to quit smoking cigarettes for sure, and that's part of the process as well. It's necessary because when you get all the extractions, you take the chance of knocking out the little blood clot that forms over it, and then you get dry socket syndrome. Well, I'll have about 30 or 32 of those, right? So you just can't do it. So I won't be able to smoke at all. So it is what it is. Yeah, so here's the thing, Brian. It sucks. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. Fuck, man. I don't know. I don't know anything, right? Here's what I want. I don't want anybody getting too excited. Go, oh my God, don't panic. One thing I know for sure, right, is that everything belongs to Dad, right? So it doesn't really. it doesn't kind of really matter because everything's in Dad's hand. If he wants to take me home, fuck, don't threaten me with a good time, man. Get me the fuck out of here. Woo! Sorry for your luck, but I got to go. But I doubt it. Right? It just doesn't seem like that's his plan right now. Is it his plan? Should I suffer a little bit more? Well, it seems to me that my observation is, in order for Dad to use somebody greatly, he has to break them deeply, and he's done that to me a few times. Anyway, so it is what it is, right? We'll address it. I'm not going to ignore it. I'm not going to be stupid. It's just it is what it is. It's just one more thing. That needs to be addressed. And the problem is it's kind of slowing me down a little bit because we're trying to line everything up so we can get the fuck out of here and get to South Kakalaki, where Dad wants us to be. I think that seems to be the place as the time goes on. It seems that we're going in that direction. And so it was my hope, and I've been kind of teasing, right, that when we get to Flattoberfest, that Mama and I will just show up with a U-Haul and we should be done with it. This obviously puts a little wrinkle in that because we have to address these things, and so and even just dealing with the dental stuff, with nothing else, we're talking that's probably a 4, 5, 6 month process to get all that shit worked out. So this is not going to be easy. We knew this was coming. I just have said before, we have to go through all this stuff before we can make it out. It's just one step at a time. I think you could probably, some could accuse me of oversharing a little bit. I've just always been transparent with you guys. There's nothing, typically I wouldn't say anything to any of my friends or family. I'd keep it quiet. But I think in terms of understanding the nature of what we go through and that we're all in this, we're all in this together, but right, we're on similar journeys. If it's helpful to anybody to understand that, we're all going through similar stuff, right? It's not just you. It's not just, we're all going through stuff, and that we are here, I think, in large part to help support each other. There you go. It's none of us are having a perfectly easy time of it. And as I said earlier, if you're having a super smooth time, you may want to, check the fuel you're running on because. Because everyone, I think, in the community that's doing, that is seriously focused on and moving toward truth is taking hits right now. And I mean, hard. And supporting, it's my goal, it's my intention to support others. And that's where I want to wrap today. Your timing couldn't be better, Sue, because at the top of my list right now, got Sue Finelli, right? So one of the things, I applaud this community for over and over is how amazing you guys are when it comes to helping people out who are in need. Earlier, just a few weeks ago, I asked for some help for somebody who I didn't know if they were okay with me sharing it in the community. So I just said, there's somebody in our community, good guy, needs some help. Will you guys donate? And you did, right? Without even knowing anything more about it, you did. Because you're fucking awesome. And that's what I love about you guys. It was Tommy Paint, and we helped him out, and he needed it. Then I got nudged to help out David Reif, and as soon as I did, he needed it even more. So able to help him out, and he still needs some. But right now, Sue Finelli needs our help. She's in a spot with her living situation. She's given me permission, but I don't feel like I need to do all her laundry in public. If you knew Sue, and it's hard to be in this community without knowing Sue, to be sure, she's everywhere, and she's been an amazing supporter of this community in every way. She is Super Sue, and she's badass. She's got bigger balls than most people, bigger balls than Michael Obama, and she needs our help. She needs to be able to get out of where she is. And ideally, I think that, I don't know what her plans, I don't know even if she knows what her plans are, but the first steps first, she needs to be out of where she is, and that's going to take some help and money. Ideally, I think that she's interested in coming to South Kakalaki as well, and hopefully it'd be my desire to see her land up in the poppy cult with us. But again, everybody is, you do what you need to do. But to that extent, I want to help Sue out. I think we might have found maybe some place for her to stay for a little bit in the Kakalaki area. I don't know that for sure. So if you can offer that for her for a bit, let me know. The contact information for me is in the show notes, should be, as well as ways to hit me up with some bread. And I promise if you send me bread and you say it's for Sue, it's going to go to Sue because I'm going to send her stuff anyway. So, it's not like I'm going to short you or take a service fee or anything. At any time, if you want to send, if you want to donate without me passing the hat, you can donate to me and just say, hey, this is for the hat or for the community or whatever. And I'll set it aside. And I've done that for a while. And I put some, anytime you guys generously give to me, I put some in there as well. Because I never want to be left short when people need help. And it's been really handy of late to be able to help people out. It's been awesome. I've been able to do a couple of things to really bless some people. And I don't say that to, pat myself on the back because I'm not even telling you who I blessed. I'm not even telling you what the situation was. But it took a little bit more juice. And so the coffers are a little bit thin right now. So there's that. But we want to get Sue into a place that's safe and good for her. We want to get her out of where she's at, where she can be respected, right? Just live her life and be the beautiful person that she is. So, I don't think it's out of line for her to say, can I get some help? Because, fuck, man, you know what Sue has done for all of us is given us courage and hope. When I first met Sue, she was very new to this community. And dude, thank you so much. Stan, that's awesome. Thank you. Ideally, you'd probably put it to the YouTube or to the PayPal. They take the least out of it, that or Venmo. But whatever. You mean it's all going to go to her anyway. Yeah, from the very outset, she contacted Rose and said, hey, I'm kind of feeling lonely, just like everybody is, right? And so she kind of pointed, why is everybody migrating to South Carolina? I can't answer that question, Robert. What I can say is that I felt led to move out of Seattle. And then that led me to, he nudged me to that direction. And then I checked in with a couple other people. I said, hey, I feel like I'm being nudged in that direction. And we all checked in right at the same time. We all got the same thing that, yeah, I think that's right. And then that was about a year ago. And then it continued, and it's only gotten more every passing day. And so I can't say for anybody else why. I can only say for me. And here's the thing: if you're not feeling South Carolina, don't necessarily think that you're out of the loop or you're not hearing Dad, because I expressly sense that there are people being led to be different places. Right. I know Ceiling Fan Man was disappointed, right, in that I wanted to kind of, start this community, and then I just didn't come out to his place and start it there. And I understand it, because it's like, yeah, we're good friends, and of course we'd want to be together. And I was disappointed, kind of broke my heart too. I was like, I'm not being led to here, right? And so other people are being led to different directions, and they're like, wait, what's going on? Because I think he's got all of us in different places for a reason. Right. And that there should be a number of different places that we could get together and we can support one another. So don't feel like one is better than the other, or like, again, we're going to have Baltaria. And then if you're second class citizen, if you're, in some other place, I don't, because, all right. So Bunny, that's Russell Babbitt, who I called Brussels Rabbit. Right, so obviously he became Bunny. He's bailing from Eastern Washington next week. He's going out to be with Lee Martin. They're going to start a new adventure with a couple other people, and they're going to start a thing there. Got some people, I think, going to do this in Michigan. Got some people, I think, going to do this in Tennessee. I know Ceiling Fan Man is talking about doing it up here in the Pacific Northwest. So it's going to happen all over, guys. So wherever you feel led, that's the thing I think is most important. Go where you feel led, right? Don't let us talk you into it. Don't go somewhere because I'm there, or, Sue's somewhere, or CFM is somewhere, or Brian somewhere, or Bob is somewhere. You got to go where Dad leads you to go. And in order to know that, you got to listen closely. All right. And in order to listen closely, you got to be quiet, and you got to learn to listen to his voice. And that's what I get. Right. Yeah, for sure, Singe Man, you could partake of the goodness. Yeah, I don't know what the laws are in South Kakalaki, but I'll figure it out. I know it hasn't stopped anybody else down there. We'll figure it out. I promise. Because I'm about the good as well. Yeah. Anyway, to that. Most double consonants ever. I know, right? Russell Babbitt, he's like, ba 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 ba, double consonant boy. Anyway, yeah, ceiling fan man is CFM. There you go. So that's the story, right? It's going to happen all over, and I expect it. I expect not one to be better than the other. It's just, well, of course, where I am, it's going to be the best, of course. Just fucking with you. Anyway, so I guess I'll drop a couple of these things in. Today I made the Rockfin stream free instead of premium. I will begin doing some premium streams on that, and probably specifically that's probably where I'm going to angle to start talking about this communal living situation. Oh my God, Jason, dude, you are just, man. You guys are awesome. I freaking love you guys. It's not about the money, though, right? It is about your willingness to help. God loves a cheerful giver, and it multiplies. I told my wife about this the other day, right? It's like, I can't. It's just so weird, right? When all this started about a year ago, right? A few things happened, and one of the first ones was Dawn, informally hit, and her phone broke, and she needed a phone. Her and her husband kind of weren't getting along. I can say this because you guys already know. It's not like this is a secret. And so I wanted to get her a phone. And so I asked people kind of start donating, and they were kind of trickling in $5-10 a year. And I was like, yeah, we'll get enough. I know people will donate, but I had a chance to get a phone. So I just spent the money. I was like, okay, Dad, cover it. Right. We did not have the money, and it was a huge expense. Just a couple $100 was way too much for us to absorb. But I was like, Dad, cover it. Well, we did. We got the $200 and even enough. $250 is what came in, just enough to cover the shipping, and it was perfect. It was perfect. And thereafter, I was like, all right, I love the feeling of being able to help people. And there was a person that I know who, about 3 years ago, we were in such a spot. Somebody set up a GoFundMe for us because I guess 3 or 4 years ago we were really just about not to make it. And somebody set up a GoFundMe, and it really helped get us through. And there was a person who I have known for a long time, haven't talked to him in forever. We went to school together, and he was recently out of prison and struggling between jobs. And he sent me cash. Like first it was $20, and he sent me $40. He did not have the money at all, like just didn't. And he, like that, of all the money we received, and some of it was really great contributions, that one was retarded touching. It just really hit me. And so later, when I knew that he had posted on Facebook that he'd lost his job, I was able to bless him and just send money right away. And so the feeling of being able to do that, of being able to help people especially when they can't pay it back, right? There's nothing like it. If you haven't done it, if you're not familiar with this, helping somebody, ideally, if they don't know who it is, right, and when they can't pay you back, it's hard for me to do it when they don't know who it is with PayPal. But when they can't pay you back, when there's nothing they can do to help to do anything about it, just receive it. There's something so beautiful about that I can never get enough. What I want to get to is that since then, I have not been able to outgive Dad. Every time something comes up, now I can just give without ever thinking about it, not ever worrying about it, because I know what happens. Invariably, people will send me money right afterwards, more than enough to cover. It has been remarkable. And so I've never been, that account has never been completely empty. And it's been an amazing thing, and I blame you guys for that. And when I say that, of course, you know what I mean. I love you guys for this, that your willingness. We're all going through it. None of us is flush. There's nobody, I don't know anybody in this community that's a millionaire except Bob, right? He's a multi-billionaire. You know that. Bob Nodell. Globebusters. He's a millionaire, damn it. Also, Ceiling Fan Man, multimillionaire. He's got a compound. We got that going. So, those guys, they're the shills. Melanie, you're one of the ones I just love so much. I'm so glad that you're here. I did want to just take a moment today and say that, there are people in the community. I love everybody in our community. You guys are awesome. But there are, people that really just make it a delight. Sue Finelli is one of them. I just have loved her since the outset. She asked Rose if there was she needed somebody to talk to, and Rose turned around to me, and we've been like two peas in a pod since. I love her. But also, again, people just like Melanie Moran, like David Ripe, who are here in this community helping others, and Ronald Lee, who just continues to give and give and give. Just the beauty of it. Again, the quality of people that I have met in this community, it's getting a little verklempt here. You guys are fucking awesome, man. And I want to be with you guys for the rest of my life. And so, yeah, he lives on his own island, right? So we're going to do it. I mean, I'm going to risk everything that I have, which isn't much, to find some property and to be with you guys, and we'll figure it out. But healing, right? That's the thing. Is Stacy, thank you so much. So appreciated. And we're just going to throw this stuff out. Sue, we got you covered. I told you we would. And again, if you have a place that she can stay, I think she's going to drive there, and so she might have to stop at different places along the way. So if you have maybe a place on the way, if you're in Texas, Oklahoma, Arizona, any place on the way between Northern California and South Kakalaki, then hit me up and maybe we can just get her an itinerary, and she can just easily go from one to the other. So Sue, I love you too. You just you're the best, and I don't think anybody can argue that. Brian Stavely will say it, right? Karen B will say it. I trust them. I've come to trust them, and so yeah, you're awesome, and you've given so many of us such inspiration. 5 foot tall, 4'9", 90 pounds soaking wet. She's got bigger balls than most people out there, going without a mask, telling people, take that mask off. What's wrong with you? Oh, I love you, Sue. But I love this. I love this community. I love you guys for being here all the time and coming around each other, taking care of each other. You guys are amazing, and I think that's why, in part, I'm so intent on wanting healing for everyone. For so many reasons, right? One is just because, you'll feel better. You're going to feel better. It won't hurt as bad. And you won't hurt others around you who are trying to help you. Because those who do not get healing invariably bleed on those who did not wound them. Right? Hurt people hurt people. And I got to tell you, as sad as it is for me to say, and this is the part that I have not been looking forward to, right? When it comes to this communal living thing, not everybody can be there. And it all has to do with people, right? The quality of people, not just your skill set. Of course, that's helpful. We want that. But if you're the type of person who is wounded and you survived, but you didn't heal, it may not be the right home for you, right? Because you'll wound the others. And that's not meant to be punitive or to go, you're just not good enough. It's not like that. And I hope that you know that. It has everything to do with being healthy for everybody. And so if you are like me and you know that you have wounded places that need healing, reach out to Dad and ask for the process to get started. And if you do so with sincerity and the expectation that he will. And he'll also send you a few people in your life. Usually some people to trigger the problems and then some people to support you through them. On both sides, right? A little push-pull. Because that's how it happens. And the good stuff, nothing good usually comes out without some pain, some struggle. So get healing, right? It's important for you and for everybody else. And for your future. If you want to come with us, you need it, right? Get some of that emotional therapy, not just physical therapy, but emotional therapy. And if we can, we'll help, right? And so it's not just a matter of us saying, yeah, get it together, get it right. No, we're going to help you, right? We're not going to kick you to the curb and say, when you get better, then you can come back. That's not how I roll either, right? If you say, help me, we'll help you. So there you go. Man, you guys are just the best. Thank you so much, Robert. Thank you so much, everybody who's contributed for Sue. Sue, I just love you so much. So glad that you had the courage to ask. And I told you we'd take care of you and get you taken care of. And we will. Oh, man. Sorry to hear that, Snake. But again, I'll say this, right? It occurred to me again. It's not the first time I've thought about it, but it occurred to me again this week that I heard somebody make a mockery of, people have always thought the end was coming. Since the beginning of time, people thought the end was coming. But you know what? If there's a beginning, there's going to be an end, and it's always coming. And at the end of the day, right, even though the end hasn't come for everybody, the end certainly comes for everybody at one time or another. For many people, the end of the world happened when they got up and left for work, not realizing that they were going to get run over by a truck or a bus or something else happen. Right? You're never promised even tomorrow. Every day has the potential to be the last. And again, this is not to be scary. It's not fear porn. It's simply acknowledgement, the recognition that we are mortal and that there is an end. And the only way to be prepared for the end is to be prepared and ready every day. Every day. Love you guys. Hope to see you again tomorrow, 7 a.m. for Ancient Wisdom, 5 p.m. for sort of scriptural. I believe in the future, this is at least where I'm at so far. I was thinking about Friday night, but Ceiling Fan Man scooped the spot, so perhaps Saturday night I got to look at the schedule, see who's doing what. I'm trying not to overlap on anybody, but perhaps Saturday evening, I'm looking for another weekend spot. I will probably do a premium Rockfin event. And that's what we'll do instead of the YouTube communities, as I talked about before, having a community where you have channel memberships and you pay for that. I think instead, because of the uncertainty with YouTube and what's going on there, we're going to instead probably put that on Rockfin. Looks like the way it's going to go for now on premium. And again, the Rockfin deal, it's $10 a month for the entire service. So you get all the content creators from Rose 777, Jason Lindgren, Secrets of Saturn, Rose Pro, I know Karen and Brian and a bunch of other people are moving over there. So we're trying that out right now. Again, the chat's not great right there. We know that. We know that the app isn't great, but they've been friendly to us, and they're real super responsive. Already, I've gotten more detailed information from them in metrics in just the first week than I probably have from YouTube in the last year. They're responsive to questions, and so it seems for the moment like that has potential. We don't know yet. We're going to, again, over time, we'll have to figure this out. But I intend to do some free content that kind of, give people the opportunity to come. I know that people struggle right now. But the premium stuff, again, it helps them, and it helps us, and it helps our community look good. Also, I wanted to thank those few people who have, for example, signed up under my channel on Rockfin. It helps out a great deal. It makes us look good. There's some financial benefit from that, not a lot, but it really is about growing this community. And that's one thing I'm really pushing them for, is to improve the community aspect so that the conversations, the chats can really happen well. They have some work to do there. But that's important to me because I think that that's one of the biggest benefits that I've seen from this whole thing, is not just the information provided in these streams. Again, you won't find a lot in mine, right? Encouragement, cheerleading, right? But there is the opportunity for everybody to get together and to share. And so I want to be able to, I want to be able to provide an opportunity for people to get together, but also to help grow their channel, their platform as well with the Rockfin thing. So I'm going to put some premium content there. Again, it's not like I'm trying to ignore or exclude anybody. Although on the other hand, we've got this opportunity that to congregate there rather than on YouTube. So while YouTube certainly has the numbers in terms of people, and I hate to see it go away, it feels like ultimately it will, just because of their censorship. And so be prepared for that, and keep your eyes open. If we disappear, Ceiling Fan Man, me, Brian, if we just disappear, you don't see anything from us, look around. right? Who knows where we'll be. I hate to see it. I was gone for a couple of weeks, and I saw the numbers drop pretty dramatically on weekly attendance. And again, I don't say that because I like, it's about the money, or it's about like, I don't care about the popularity. I just feel like what happened there again was I was gone for just a couple of weeks, taking a break, and then people get used to not showing up. It's all good. I just feel bad because I miss people. That's all. It's not like, they don't come see me anymore. I don't care. You guys know who have been here for a minute. I don't give a crap about popularity or any of that sort of stuff. I have been delighted to keep it small, that the right people are here. I ask Dad every week that he brings the right people rather than a lot of people. And so I'm delighted that you guys are the right people. So I know I can trust that. Anyway, guys, much love to you. Thank you so much for being here, to continuing to support the channel. Thank you so much for your support of Sue. Don't forget David Ripe could probably still use a little bit of love too, so don't forget him. But we'll make it all work for everybody. You guys are the best, and I see that without any compunction whatsoever. I am so pleased, so delighted, so honored to be a part of this community. It is one of the most amazing things I have ever seen in my fucking life. It has happened very quickly indeed over the last year. So with that, I'll find some tunes to leave you guys with, as I do. There's not a lot of them, but yeah, we have some. Let's see. How about this one? I'll do this, More Than I've Ever Seen. Let's see, this is 1994, 95, something like that. Don't leave, right? I know. But I got stuff to do. Mama, I promised her I'd get her some breakfast. So I'm going to get Mama some breakfast. There you go. You guys have a lovely day. I'll see you tomorrow morning. If you can find it in time to come back and join us, we'll probably spread the love over multiple channels as we did today. I got to go back and audit it and see how we did. But thanks so much, guys, for showing up. It's always a pleasure to be with you. And I hope today for you, I'll just say this. Dad, for those who have asked for healing, please bring it to them, comfort them, and remind us all how much we still have left to go and to grow, that we all need more healing, that we are all deeply wounded, and how much we need your love. Thanks, Papa. You guys are absolutely the best. Can't wait to see you again soon. Be good to people around you. Be good to yourself. And just be. Have a great day, everybody.
Still burns inside with a light that I cannot hide. I walk on the edge of time, ride the winds of destiny. I hear the thunders coming, bringing me to my knees, like nothing I've ever seen. And in my mind I hear the voices calling. In my mind I see the planets collide. In my mind I feel the end beginning. It's like waking up from a dream. It's more than I've ever seen. Shadows fall like angels' tears, leaves darkness on every shore. The season's morning light inspires me no more. this final mile, will love be waiting there? If my feet are on solid ground, can I reach my dream?